Hey guys, it's Kyle down here at Lunicycle. Today I'm going to show you how to change out the ignition and key set for the MX3, 4, and 5. They all use identical keys and identical lock cylinders for the battery lid. We'll start with the ignition. If you've lost your keys and you can't power up your bike, you can go ahead and remove the two ignition plate screws. And I'll show you how to temporarily turn your bike on until you get a replacement ignition. You just go ahead and pull this out, and what you're going to want to do is just cross these two wires right here. So if you cut the ignition that you lost the keys to and just strip these two wires and connect them together, when you plug this in, it's going to turn your bike on. So that can be a good temporary solution until your new keys arrive. You just simply unplug this, twist these two wires together, and then you have a temporary key. Now, this bike doesn't actually need a new ignition, so I'm not going to change this one, but it does just kind of pop right out of this thing. There's two little tabs. And this just pops right out. You would pop the new one in and be good to go. Now the harder part is going to be changing out the battery lock cylinder. This requires a bit more work, especially if your battery is locked inside. If your battery is not locked inside, you can just use a 4mm Allen up in the battery compartment and undo the little latch. That'll at least get this latch open, and it'll make it a little easier for you. But today I'm going to show you how to swap this out with your battery still locked inside. You just go ahead and tuck this back. Alright, to do this, you do need to gain access to the underside of this plastic. To do that, you do need to pop the subframe off. You've got to remove this bolt right here and these two here on both sides. I already removed the ones on this side just to speed up the video. Alright, now remember your taillight is still attached. So you want to lift this up, unplug your little taillight because that's keeping you from lifting this lid all the way up. After you unplug your taillight, you can lift this all the way up and access those two little latch bolts that I was talking about. They're both 4mm, and this will detach everything from your battery lid. Once you've got the seat and subframe removed, you can then remove this little latch by just pushing this back. And now we do need to remove these plastics before we can access the bolts to change out the lock cylinders. Alright, so once you have this on the ground, you just grab your Phillips and remove this plastic cover. You grab your 10mm and remove these two nuts right here. Next, you need to remove the two nuts on the back part of the seat. And at this point, you will be able to remove this little plastic piece. It should just pull straight forward, like so. We can then remove these two bolts right here with a 4mm. And install your new lock cylinder. This bike isn't missing the keys, so I'm not actually going to change these. But at this point, you can tighten down these two bolts and start reassembling the subframe. Reinstall the plastic piece. Don't worry, this is pretty tough plastic. It's not going to just crack on you. Reinstall the 4 nuts. Alright, now it's time to reinstall the subframe. The first thing you want to do is plug in the light. Plug it in until it clicks. This is going to get tucked inside of this little plastic area right here. And you can reinstall your 4 subframe bolts, your 2 plastic bolts, and reinstall your little latch. So that's the Talaria key swap, and this applies to the MX3, the MX4, and the MX5.